Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we are talking about our first full Mercury in retrograde in 2023. It's all in the sign of Taurus, and that is really going to affect a couple of different things for each person, kind of regarding usually money. So that's kind of one of those weird, quirky things where it says we're really used to Mercury kind of messing with our communication and our scheduling and plans and all that kind of stuff. This one is going to be affecting a lot different things as well as the normal things. So stay tuned. So let's talk about our hard, cold facts about Mercury in retrograde. So Mercury goes in retrograde, goes into pre-shadow on April 7th. And so it's just starting to slow down energy. It goes into full retrograde from April 21st through, May 14th. So it's kind of like steady during that part. And then after May 14th, it goes into post-shadow energy, which is until May 31st, and then it starts to kind of speed back up. So it's kind of like, here we go. So let's talk about Mercury itself. Mercury really can make us feel a little bit lethargic, a little bit like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed very easily. This can also bring in like unexpected setbacks, kind of feeling like you have to isolate, or kind of like, I don't want to be around anybody else. Like, I don't want to have miscommunication. I don't want to have any problems. And sometimes people really feel like this requirement of like, they feel lost, or kind of like, I don't feel like I fit in during this time frame. And so it's one of those, it's not uncommon. So if it happens, just kind of like, okay, this is what's happening. I've got this energy. The best way to kind of do things in Mercury in retrograde, any retrograde, is plan things meticulously. Like, just everything has to be planned out. Make sure that every plan has a backup to it. If something goes wrong, do not be negative. Don't be like, oh my gosh, everything goes wrong. Because then what you're adding is more information, more kind of bad energy to come at you. Be flexible. Kind of, if things don't work out, kind of find like, okay, so now I have to find like a quirky way to get through all of this. It makes the energy lighter and easier. Double check, triple check, quadruple check, sextuplet check, quadruplet, whatever it is, 4 or 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, double check. So if you are doing something like a hotel stay, you're traveling, you have to travel during this time frame, double, triple, quadruple, sextuple, all that kind of stuff. Check your hotel reservations, your taxi service, or whatever else, like what, all of those things. Check. And if you have to sign a contract during this time, try not to, but if you have to, make sure that everything is looked over. Attorneys have looked it over. Everything is kind of the way it's supposed to be, and not just like, oh, I'm assuming it's all right. Don't assume in Mercury in retrograde. I will say, be very attentive. Kind of like, if things start to go bad, like, be attentive. Like, talk to other people. Like, hey, the taxi service is 20 minutes late, or whatever else. Are they still on their way? Are they stuck in traffic? Like, that sort of thing. Don't be angry or mad, because anything you put out there is going to come back at you, like, immediately, like boom, it's going to come at you. So make sure that if something's going wrong, be attentive to it. Like, okay, this is late, the plane is late, or whatever else. Like, is it going to be on time? Or, you know what I'm saying, how long are we going to be delayed? And kind of make the best of your time. The more creative you are during this time frame, everything else falls into place. So many times people are like, the plane was late, this was late, the food was cold, and da-da-da. I'm just like, don't even go there. Literally, when I have to travel in Mercury in retrograde, I take several extra bottles of water. I take extra snacks. I'll take one of my puzzle books or something like that. So it's kind of like I'm prepared for whatever goes wrong. And this does lighten the energy so much. I had a client that was traveling, and before she left, we were talking, and I was like, take it easy with your energy, relax, don't worry about things. Like, as soon as you get to the airport and you get through security, get an extra bottle of water. Just put it in your carry-on. Don't even worry about it. Get some chips or snacks or peanuts or whatever it is, like whatever, put it in your luggage and just have it for later on. Then get a snack for right then. And then she was just like, because I felt like she's like, I felt everything was in order. I got this all in the right place. So she sat down, she sat next to someone else, and they had this great conversation. The plane was late. And then I think one of the plane stewards or whatever else was sick. And so they had to get someone else at the last minute, all that kind of stuff. She was like, I just had a great time and just enjoyed myself, that sort of thing. And I was like, because you were attentive to it, but you were also not worried about it or kind of pushing that negative energy. One of the things that I will tell you is Mercury in retrograde is the best time to really kind of reflect and rethink or review what's been going on. Like, is this really what I want in my life? Is this really where I want to go? What book should I read, or what book should I reread? All of that kind of stuff. And make sure that you're just kind of making it things light and easy. Those are kind of like my generic ones. Anything that you push negative energy in Mercury in retrograde is only going to make things worse. So calm down, be prepared for every scenario. It makes just life so much easier. Now, I will say, Mercury in Taurus. Taurus is going to be adding kind of this very practical concerns that may bring up things with work, important appointments or job interviews, meetings, all that kind of stuff. And so that may add more of that. But also Taurus really can mess with our money as well. So you may find out that you have like a shortfall of money. Sometimes like money didn't go as far as you wanted. Like you were going to buy an extra soda at the airport for traveling, and then you get there and it's like, instead of being $5, it's $10, and you're like, oh wait, I didn't bring enough money. Make sure you have like your little extra storage of cash somewhere, so you have a little extra cha-ching on the side. It will make things go easier, because Taurus brings in that money aspect for us, and it's going to kind of bring in maybe some career upheavals as well. So make sure that you're saving your stuff often with Mercury in retrograde, especially in Taurus. You want to make sure that like reports that are due or anything like that, you're doing everything that you need to. And this is kind of the best way to deal with this kind of energy. Some things may surface that you felt like kind of like, I thought we put that issue to rest. It's that review time. Someone's thinking about it again. So they're kind of like, oh, we've got to change this. So kind of bringing that up again. On a very practical level, this is a very good time to kind of review your budget. What is your budget, and how much money are you setting aside for each item or each thing? A lot of times money shifts and changes, like especially I was just talking to a client and we were talking about going on vacation, and I was like, certain areas are going to be more expensive, and she was like, well, I didn't think it'd be a tourist area. When you're on vacation, just expect it to spend more, because it usually is a tourist area. Even if it's not a super popular tourist area, things are going to cost more. So make sure that you're making that allowance for that energy to kind of like, okay, here we go. Now, next I will say that this Mercury in retrograde from April through May is going to be kind of a little bit differently, because Mercury is going to be really close to Saturn in the sign of Pisces. So we're going to be like right there next to each other. So Saturn in the sign of Pisces is going to bring in a different kind of energy, kind of blending these energies to kind of help us like mentally focus on things, focus on what do we want to bring in. And that could be kind of reviewing where we've been in the past to kind of like, where do we want to go in the future, making notes. Not doing anything, because Mercury in retrograde, we don't want to do that, but it's one of those we can make notes like, I want to research this, or I want to look this up, or I want to reread this again. So that is a great time to do that. Also, Saturn is the planet of commitment. So this is a really great time to kind of think about your calendar, your routines, what your routines are for work, what routines have been working for you, what routines haven't been working for you, when could things be done differently. And kind of once everything happens in Mercury, it makes everything a little bit easier. When kind of like when you're doing it nice and easy with Mercury in retrograde, things kind of go a little bit easier. If you're pushing energy the wrong way, kind of Mercury will kind of hit you in the face and like, you've got to slow down with this. So make sure that you are trusting your judgment, kind of making decisions, and kind of like what was in the past, what were the past things I should have been working on or looking at. Sometimes when you go, I wish I'd have known that earlier. Yeah. Make sure you're making those changes and really opening up to things that are coming in fast. What happens when Mercury in retrograde is over? A lot of times people freak out over Mercury in retrograde, but when it's over, sometimes like the planet starts moving faster, and sometimes that can catch you up in kind of like falling apart, or things are not going well. Everything happens in retrograde, comes back to haunt us when it goes out of retrograde. So it's kind of like, okay, so if you push negative energy on someone else, it's going to come back at you. And now think about all that things that you went through. Kind of like, did you yell at someone you shouldn't have yelled at? Or were you angry about something that you should have been angry about? And like you yelled at the taxi driver. Well, now a taxi driver may yell at you or whatever else. So make sure that you're kind of making those allowances. When Mercury's in retrograde, make sure you're kind of keeping that, like, what do I want to face on the other side of this? And this makes it really easy. Kind of revisit kind of things that went wrong in the past and kind of like reviewing them, or how would you want to do them now. Doing that in a meditation would be really great as well. So if you've got that opportunity to kind of do that in meditation and kind of bring that energy in, it will make things move a lot smoother. So let's go into angel cards, and we'll be talking about angel cards for Mercury in retrograde. And this is our first full one in 2023. We had the one in December or January, but that one was not completely in 1 year. So let's talk about this. These are a couple of cards that are popping out for us. This is the 6th house, and this is sustainability. This is all talking about the Taurus part of it, the money part of it, the sustainability. Make sure you have plenty of money. Make sure that if you have young kids, you have put a little extra money, a little cha-ching in their backpacks or purses or whatever else. They have a little extra cha-ching in their pocket, because things are going to cost a little bit more than what you really expect. The 6th house is all about relationships, talking about relationships, talking about how things went wrong in relations, or even thinking about it is really going to be well of bringing things forward so that you can kind of rethink it. Like, how could I have done this differently? How could I have dealt with this in a better way than I did this time? So what can I fix, change, or modify is really going to be helpful. Deliberate, and this is discomfort. A lot of times people really have a lot of hard energy in Mercury in retrograde, and a lot of times it's not necessarily problems with it, but it's one of those, it will come back to haunt you. When Mercury comes out of retrograde, those things will really kind of kick you in the head sometimes. So make sure that when Mercury's in retrograde, you're dealing with it in a very unique way, a very easy way, and always waiting or looking for solutions, looking for a way to kind of like find a solution for something else that may not be the normal solution for this. This is the South Node, and this is the past. That's what we're doing in Mercury in retrograde. We are dealing with the past. Anything that we're reviewing, re-looking over, rethinking about, whatever it is, the re part is what we want to deal with this in this Mercury in retrograde, and really kind of like rethinking your budget can be a really great one as well. This is the trine and the sextile, and this is symbiotic relationship. It's one of those. Mercury in Taurus is not an easy one. It's not a necessarily hard one, but I will tell you, this is a great time to kind of not kick up any extra trauma, sending those into high gear. We don't want that at all. We want to make sure that everything flows with ease. Midheaven, the pinnacle. This is kind of, not the hardest one we have this year. It's one of those, this year we only have 3 compared to what we had last year, the 4. So know that things are changing and modifying in that area. And I will tell you, that's kind of the fun part about things. Our last one is the 8th house, and this is all about the mystery. This is kind of allowing that mysterious energy of Mercury in retrograde, working with it is the mystery. When you kind of find that blend, you don't really have as many issues with Mercury in retrograde or having as many problems. It makes it lighter and easier. So make sure that you're making those changes, and make sure that you're working with ease and flow will change how everything works in Mercury in retrograde. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.